Welcome back to The Pulse. Now to some energy issues. The energy crisis of last few years may have come to an end today, but many never forget the devastating effect it had on the economy and livelihoods of many. Since then, several interventions have been put in place by government and its related agencies to try and find a lasting solution. Now, millions of Ghana cedis have already gone into the procurement of power plants to stabilize supply for an increase in power demand for Ghanaians. Now, in spite of all those interventions, there's still uncertainty about whether the country will continue to enjoy stable power supply. Some experts have already predicted a return of the power crisis this year. Well, today there seem to be innovative ideas coming up. The Institute of Energy and Climate Change Policy is one of them. They want government to support individuals and organizations to cut dependence on grid power by absorbing the setup costs for the solar system. Dr. Philip Kofi Adom is the Director of Research and Policy there, and he joins me in the studio for some discussion. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to The Pulse. Now, tell us about this proposal you have to the Energy Ministry.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show. I think our proposal is strictly about a case where the government makes it possible so that individuals do not actually need to put money down before they get solar panels installed on their properties. You will agree with me that we already have the technology in the system, and some individuals who can afford have actually gone in for that kind of technology. But if you look at the income levels of Ghanaians, you would agree with me that not many have that financial muscle to go in and purchase the technology directly. So we are proposing to the government that the government should create that kind of environment whereby private individuals will go into that kind of business and engage individuals on a contract kind of base. So let's say I work to a provider of solar and I engage in a contract for, let's say, over a 15-year or a 20-year period. And what this actually means is that the cost of the technology will be spread over that period of the contract. The benefit of such a technology is that because I am going to the provider, I am not the direct owner of the technology. And so issues concerning repair and maintenance is not the responsibility of the consumer, but becomes the sole responsibility of the provider. The good news is that Ghana will not be the first. This thing has been implemented in US successfully, and it has actually helped stabilize the energy sector.
But there have been concerns that this solar energy issue is normally very expensive to manage. How easy is it for government to be able to involve individuals to get onto this kind of solar lease you're talking about?
Okay. Let me say that already there are companies out there who are into such kind of businesses. So just like any other business, what the government has to do is to kind of create a conducive environment to be able to operate or to be able to come into our part of the world. And one of the interventions or one of the things government can do is actually to look at the taxing system. That is, if you have individuals, individual firms who are willing to come in to intervene, then we would expect that government can at least support these industries who provide such technology.
Okay, so let's be practical and let's see how this will work. What is government supposed to do, and what is an institution like yours is supposed to do in getting this whole thing work?
Okay. I think as a government, one of the things the government can do, one, as I said, is kind of design a kind of a loose tax system for such firms.
A loose tax system.
Yeah. The other thing would also be, as you rightly mentioned, the cost involved is actually huge. So we would expect that government can provide some form of subsidies. Now, this is good in the sense that this is actually not going to be a kind of a lifetime kind of thing. These subsidies are going to be for just a duration of a kind of a period. And once people or households are able to hook onto this kind of new technology, it's going to provide a long-term benefit to the country as a whole and to also to the individual consumers. For us as a think tank or as an institution, as we can always propose, we can also help government, link up with some of these companies who are already into such a kind of a contract or agreement.
All right, and you talked about loose tax system.
Yeah.
What kind of loose tax system are you talking about? Where should it be? Where should the taxes be loosened?
Yeah. I think we will start right from the harbor because, normally when some of these technologies are coming, they attract some kind of taxes. But if we know what these technologies are coming to do for the economy, one would expect that you would kind of loosen your kind of muscles on them, at least so that they can also have kind of a free range. The other thing probably I would say we can discuss that as a kind of a spillover, because this also has some kind of employment implications, because if you have a lot of firms coming in for this kind of intervention, what it means is that we are going to have some kind of job creation. So if you look at it from the job creation point of view, if you look at it from the sustainability of energy, if you look at it from affordability of energy, then you see there are a lot of justifications for government to loosen its kind of muscles on how much tax that has to go to these kind of firms.
But you talked about the benefits that it will come with, the long-term benefits.
Yeah.
What are some of the benefits we're looking at here?
Okay. First, for the leasing, actually we have, somebody who has the money can go for outright purchase. And for such an individual, the obvious benefit is that this person is not going to pay utility for a very long time in his or her life. But for people who would have to go in for the leasing, that people who do not have the initial capital to buy the technology, one of the benefits is that because the technology has a zero marginal cost. Let me explain. Unlike our traditional means of generating power, anytime we have to generate power, we have to incur some kind of cost in terms of producing it. But for these solar kinds of technology, once you install it, the marginal cost is almost virtually zero. So it means that you don't incur any kind of additional cost. So if you engage in a contract, what it means is that you are tied to a kind of a fixed rate over a long period of time. And that compared to the to the national rate that we pay for our utility, I can speak on authority that at least we would enjoy about 30% reduction compared to what actually.
We know getting energy in place is usually expensive.
Yeah.
So with this kind of technology you're talking about, how much cost are we looking at if government is interested?
Yeah, I think it will depend on the property that we are talking about, because we have different sizes in terms of your energy capacity, your energy demand use. So let's say for an average, let's say Ghanaian, let's say household, maybe let's peg it around maybe $20,000 US
for a household.
Yeah, for let's say a household. And actually I'm being careful because that will also depend on your energy usage. It can be very low compared to a household that uses very kind of less energy.
So how has been the response like from government? Any positive response?
Yeah, for now I think we are just dealing with the media now, and we just pray that the government is actually listening. And I think I want to chip in this. If you listen to the minister designated for energy, I think one of the vetting committee members asked him what he intends to do with these MDAs, and his suggestion was that they want to move those people from the national grid and move them onto the solar. But he wasn't really straightforward as to how they were going to do that. Was government going to finance it outrightly, or but with this thing that we are talking about, I think in terms of cost, in terms of kind of relief, if it is possible for the facility to be leased to a government institution so that the cost is spread over a long period of time, I think it is good for us as a country, in terms of saving money.
Well, we hope that government will yield to your calls and give you some positive answers. Many thanks to you,
Thank you
for joining us this afternoon. This is the Pulse. And this afternoon, workers at the Ghana Post have vowed forcefully to remove the head of IT, Godfred Abuaje. Today, it's been a period of protest at the organization's headquarters here in Accra. The workers there are demanding the interdiction and subsequent dismissal of the head of IT unit. They are accusing him of engaging in deals involving the payment of what they call fictitious Microsoft licensing fees worth some 183,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the leaders of the Workers' Union also say value for money checks were not done when an amount of 52,341.69 were used for the maintenance of a server that was procured at 9,000 Ghana cedis. The leadership also say the head of IT is culpable of conflict of interest regarding his dealings with Ghana Post and a company he partly owns.
One major concern is about the ICT department, of which the head of ICT was alleged to have been involved in some dealings. So we brought up the issue with the management, right? Then we followed it up yesterday. Yesterday's meeting, management brought out the investigative report. And during the discussion of the investigative report, most of the issues that we raised concerning the head ICT came up to be true. You know? And then a lot of monies were involved. Actually, we are still in. We just came down from a meeting with the DMD, that's the Deputy Managing Director, Finance and Administration. As we talk now, they are in a management committee meeting. The issues are numerous, but what we want to protest against is that when these issues came up, we were expecting management to be very proactive, but they delayed action on the issue. But that notwithstanding, some progress has been made. We just closed from a meeting and then we've gotten somewhere. But what I can establish for a fact that allegations have been, the allegations that have been raised against the head ICT has been confirmed by the investigative report. That he has been is involved in some dealings. Are you dubious?
Are you able to speak directly to the dubious dealings that you're talking about?
Yes. Yes. You know, the key one here is about Microsoft licenses, which he led someone purportedly to come from Microsoft Kenya to come and claim some monies for Microsoft license fee, ranging to about, let's say, 184,000 Ghana cedis. Aside that, he bought certain equipment for certain projects, like headphones, and some of the headphones were nowhere to be found. They cannot be accounted for. Now, we have a project we had wanted to do with Electricity Company of Ghana, and equipment that he allegedly bought, because all these purchases were done by by himself, can never be traced. Now, then there's this key one also concerning SMS. You know, people post items and then he is an employee of Ghana Post as a contract staff. And the allegation is that the same person owns the company that is working for.
So that's some kind of conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. Meanwhile, Ghana Post has engaged you and it's paying for your services. So as for the issues, these are the main ones that has come up, and then looking at the amount involved, we are not so.
So you.
All right, so Maxwell Agbagba, my colleague, has been engaging the workers and he joins me in the studio. Welcome, Maxwell.
Thank you.
Maxwell, did the staff give you empirical evidence as reasons why they want this IT director removed from the Ghana Post?
Well, documents that I cited during my presence there indicate that yes,
some of these transactions were made. And then management actually agrees that yes, they made some of the transactions. Now, in fact, for the one that has to do with the maintenance of a server costing them an amount of 52,000 Ghana cedis, a little over 52 Ghana cedis, I saw the receipt, and the solicitor for Ghana Post himself agrees that yes, they made that payment of 52,000 Ghana cedis to an IT firm for the maintenance of a server.
And what has been the response from management? We heard that earlier they were having a meeting over this request.
Okay, now before I come to that, two key things, you know, the workers are demanding. One, they are calling for the head of the IT unit of Ghana Post. So I think we'll have to make that point clear out there. So the head of the IT unit. Now, they are alleging that one, he used an amount of, like I already mentioned, an amount of 52,000 Ghana cedis for the maintenance of a server. The arguments that the workers are raising is that that server was actually procured at a cost of 9,000 Ghana cedis.
Right.
Now, they say that the market price of that particular server as of now is 15,000 Ghana cedis. Okay. So the argument then is that why would you buy a server at for 15,000 Ghana cedis and then go ahead and to service and maintain it for 52,000 Ghana cedis? That's one of the arguments, yeah. And then the second argument is also about the purchase of, about the payment of Microsoft and licensing fees or keys, as we want to put it. They say that they paid an amount of 183,000. Now, the workers are saying that the head of IT unit actually brought somebody from Kenya, and that person fronted as a personnel from Microsoft. And they're saying that they were charging Ghana Post for pirating a Microsoft product for the period 2012 to 2015. So that 183,000 Ghana cedis is going to be used for the payment of that Microsoft processing fees. And these are, you know, these are top of the issues that, top of the two issues that the workers are raising. I think now I had a chance to go into the unit, into the IT unit, to see for myself the server that we are talking about. So maybe we can let our viewers see the server that we're talking about here.
Okay.
We are inside the IT unit of Ghana Post headquarters right now, and the controversial servers that we are talking about. Now, some workers here are alleging that management actually used an amount of 52,000 Ghana cedis to maintain this server and then this one. We had interactions with the company solicitor. He agrees that yes, Julian was used in the maintenance of this server, this one, and then this. Information we are gathering indicates that for the maintenance, they increased the memory in here, and then they will also increase the hard drives in here, in this servers, this one, and then this one.
All right, so that was the server in question.
Yeah.
All right, but were you able to speak with this IT head of IT unit in question, and what was his side of the story?
Well, at the time that we were there, he was not at post. From our interactions with the solicitor for Ghana Post, a lawyer, Jim Boatin, he tells me that by the close of today, they'll be serving him a notice of indefinite suspension. And then after that, a committee will be set up to look into the matter. So at the time that we were there, he was not at post. But for the amount that we're talking about, I spoke to some IT people around, I mean,
to get their side.
To get their side, to ask them if really it's rational or reasonable for 52,000 Ghana cedis to be expended on the servicing of service. Not that we are getting new service. Right. They said the amount was actually on a very, you know, was too much on a high side. Okay. We took the specifications of the service that we showed you. So we'll be making our own private inquiries to find out if really the figures do match up. I had interactions with the solicitor for Ghana Post, and I was finding out from him if truly management used the said amount to service the service that we are talking about. He said yes, the amount was actually used to service it. And I asked him if truly the server that we are talking about was procured at a cost of 9,000 Ghana cedis. At the time. At the time. He was unable to tell us that truly they used 9,000 Ghana cedis to procure the server, but he agreed that yes. And then he also agrees on the second count that an amount of 183,000 Ghana cedis was used in the payment of Microsoft licensing fees. So we can listen to the solicitor for Ghana Post right now.
The investigation did not disclose the purchase of the server. and I'm not privy to how much the server was purchased, except that at least the evidence before me suggests that it was maintained at the cost that you have just quoted. But I'm not privy to how much the server was purchased.
Okay, but the evidence before you suggest that it was procured at 9,000 Ghana cedis.
No, that's why I'm saying that our investigation was not about how much the server was bought, but to do investigation as to whether or not indeed such monies have been paid. In fact,
So before you come to that, so an amount of 52,000, little over 52,000 Ghana cedis was used in the maintenance of that server.
Correct.
It's just one server.
It's server, so I don't know whether it's one server. I'm not too competent in respect of IT matters, but at least it's correct that such amount has been spent in respect of the maintenance of the server.
Well, some workers are raising allegations. They say that that server was bought in 2015 for 9,000 Ghana cedis. So if you are using 52,000, a little of 52,000 Ghana cedis to maintain that same server, it means some value for money checks were not done.
But I would agree with you if indeed the server was purchased at that cost, at that price of 9,000, and we'll have to maintain it at 55. But as I've already indicated, my investigation was not to ascertain how much the server was purchased. I was to find out indeed whether or not the server was maintained at that cost. And the investigation indeed confirms so.
So I want to find out the cost of 52,000 Ghana cedis used in the maintenance of a server. In your own estimation, don't you think that's too much?
But I'm not competent to, say whether or not it's too much. Because all that I know of is that our servers were breaking down, and that, the head of IT made a recommendation to management, and that approval of a sort was given for him to take steps to have them maintained. I don't know. In fact, I have not even cited how the server even looks like. So I don't know whether it's on the high side or on the low side. I can't tell. I can't confirm it. But I can confirm that at least an approval was made for the service to be maintained at that cost.
Okay. The second issue also has to do with some 183,000 Ghana cedis, a little over 183,000 Ghana cedis. We have information, we pick information, we got intelligence that the head of IT unit actually brought some people from Kenya, or brought somebody from Kenya, and says that you have to pay Microsoft licensing fees, and you have to pay an amount of 183,000 Ghana cedis as Microsoft licensing fees.
But it's correct that the amount that you quoted has been paid. But as to whether the head IT brought some other persons from Kenya to post as such, I cannot confirm it because my investigation did not reveal so. But the PV before me confirms that that payment was made for Ghana Post pirating on Microsoft products for 2012-2013. But as to who was fronting and who was not fronting, I cannot confirm it. But at least that money has also been paid in respect of Ghana Post having pirated on Microsoft product. I would say, once again, this is an IT stuff that I do not know anything about. He comes, in fact, my understanding is that these Microsoft agents came here and said that we had pirated their product. As to how we pirated the product, I cannot say.
But you bought the product, so if you buy the product, you should have some.
But I am told that it was given to us as a gift from some other organization. So I'm not too sure that indeed we purchased the same. My understanding and information is that it was gifted to us, and it came with the product, the office, or as they call it. It came with the office. So it is this office that Microsoft, according to the investigation, is complaining that we had pirated. And that's come that Ghana Post paid that much.
Wow. But is it not uncommon for you to hear that Microsoft, officers would come to an office and say you've pirated our product, so you need to pay a certain amount for it?
One would have expected that they would have come with some kind of identification. I want to believe that's what happened before, because I was seriously not involved, but I want to believe that that was what happened. And I am further told that Microsoft has some agents here. So we were referred to these agents. So they dealt with these agents in respect of the payment of this money. CWG or CGW.
So in your report, did you find anything fictitious with that particular payment of 183,000 Ghana cedis? Did you find anything problematic with that payment? Because if you have the report, then I'm sure you've contacted the necessary sources, done your background checks to establish whether or not that payment was right or wrong.
You see, as I indicated earlier on, I told you that this is still work in progress. So far, I have directed that certain things be done on this because the investigation did not reveal this part of it. But the investigator limited himself to the amount paid. There were other supporting invoices that the investigator lumped all of them together as payments made and came to some conclusion of a sort. And that's what I have asked that certain things be done on it. This getting in touch with Microsoft Office to see whether or not the people who claim to be Microsoft representatives are indeed Microsoft representatives. So I have directed that certain things be also done on it. That's why I earlier on indicated that I'm unable to release the report to you is because it is still work in progress.
Okay, so what level of culpability have you found with regards to the IT, the head of the IT unit? At least you've established some truths in all of these allegations. So what's the level of culpability?
But subsequent to this report, it has just come to my notice, as you have mentioned, that the server was bought at 9,000 and we are maintaining it at this much. If it turns out to be true, we are all speculating. As I sit here, I do not know, and I'm not privy to, neither do I have any document to confirm that indeed Ghana Post purchased this server for that much. So I've directed that the PV in respect of the payment for the server be pulled, and if it turns out that indeed the server cost Ghana Post 9,000 and yet we are maintaining it at 52,000, then you can say with some certainty that indeed somebody didn't do his work well.
So how long would it take you for that to happen?
But we are appointing a committee to go into it, and we are giving them a maximum of 2 weeks to come out with their report.
Okay, with the cost of the server itself, and how come it was
the allegations that have been made, and how come that a product purchased at 9,000 should be maintained at 52? Well, I would have thought, I'm not an IT person, but if indeed I am to take that decision, instead of maintaining it at that price, I would have preferred even buy a new one. So all these matters are matters that we have to go into. If it is established and confirmed that indeed the product cost Ghana Post 9,000, yet we spent 52,000 to maintain it. You don't need a photochromic eye to tell you that it cannot gel. SMS message. In fact, a company was providing a service for us. It's one of the complaints the staff have talked about, that the monies that we're paying to the company providing the service was too high. So that's also part of the inquiry.
In addition to that, have you also heard that there's some element of conflict of interest in there? Because we are told again that the head of IT partly owns that company. Has that come to your notice?
The search report from the Registrar General's office did not disclose that he's indeed a part owner of the company. We have the search report. It didn't disclose that indeed he is. I've directed that he should be put on indefinite leave. So I'm sure, but for our conversation, the letter would have come out. When you came to my office, I was just drafting the letter. So by the close of today, he will be served with a letter to proceed on indefinite leave.
All right, so that's the lawyer for the Ghana Post. But Agwagwa, there seem to be more than one head that the staff at Ghana Post wants rolled. Who else's job is on the table?
Okay, so the leadership of the workers' union, they're actually divided on the subject of who else should go. Now, some workers are calling for the head of the deputy managing director in charge of finance and administration. In fact, when I had interactions with him in that same office, he says that he was not at Post. He was not working at Ghana Post when these transactions, were made. So nobody can, hold him liable or culpable for some of these things. But some of the workers are actually bent on having, seeing his back, there at Ghana Post.
They actually think that he has something to do with this.
Exactly, because the claims are that, okay, so for the amounts that was used in maintaining the server, for instance, you'd believe that there were some bidding processes that went on. There were some procurement processes that went on. And of course, we should also know that there are some bureaucratic, steps that have to be exhausted before we come to a final conclusion that yes, we are allotting this money for the payment of the maintenance of these servers. So they are saying that, okay, if it escaped the eagle eyes of these people, why not? They should also be held liable.
They should be held liable for this discrepancies. Well, many thanks to you, Maxwell, but we're hoping that you follow the story to the bottom of the story. Let's go to the Accra High Court, who has thrown out an injunction application filed by embattled Obinifo Hospital, seeking to stop the Medical and Dental Council from closing down its facility. But an Accra High Court on January 24, 2017, threw out the motion and awarded a cost of $1,200 against Dr. Dominic Obeng-Ando, owner of Obinifo Hospital, because it turns out that his lawyer also had no license to practice. Interesting times. Matilda Omega has more.
The wager-based hospital's plastic surgery section came under media scrutiny in June 2013 after Joy News' expose at the back of complaints by some patients of being deformed after visiting the plastic surgery section. Dr. Eli Atikui, registrar for the Medical and Dental Council, confirmed these complaints.
2013, we had an individual who reported a case to us. This gentleman died at Obinifo Hospital. He went in allegedly to go have a liposuction. This is somebody who trained, obtained his master's, went on to go and do a PhD. And he came to Ghana, I think, for a funeral. Head of that institution walked in there, and that individual died on the theater table with respect to this procedure of liposuction. Now, informally, we had received a number of reports, but officially we wrote again to the Plastic and Reconstructive Unit of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, because most of the cases that we have had, we do not really have any records. People come in here, they make the complaints, they will show you their abdomens, they will show you their buttocks that had been lost, scarred, and yet they should come and make a complaint. They will not. They go, they never come back. So we had the initial report from that death. We have had informal complaints, which we could not substantiate, and we've now had another set of formal complaints from the Plastic and Reconstructive Center of Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Following the growing public health concern, the Medical and Dental Council on January 5, 2017 closed down the hospital for investigations to be conducted. The hospital filed an interlocutory injunction at an Accra High Court seeking to stop the Medical and Dental Council from closing down the place. The application was dismissed with a fine of 1,200 cedis awarded against the hospital. It turned out that the lawyer who filed the application has no license to practice. Dr. Divine Banyumbela is the Deputy Registrar of the Medical and Dental Council.
Dr. Obeng-Ando is on police inquiry bail, and investigations are ongoing to put him before court. 3, that Dr. Obeng-Ando's hospital was closed down for public health and safety reasons by the council exercising its power lawfully under Act 857. 4, that Dr. Obeng-Ando sought to challenge, to restrain the Medical and Dental Council from exercising those powers. And that challenge, his application, was thrown out as being incompetent yesterday. That, as we speak now, Dr. Obeng-Ando does not have registration to practice medicine and dentistry in this country.
He is still practicing. The place is open. People are going in to get service. What exactly must be done? Because beyond all this, people want to see that indeed actions are being taken to stop him from working.
Now, a number of options are available, but what is being done is that because he's on bail, it is our hope and the hope of counsel that the CID, which have actually been very collaborative and supportive of these processes and already working expeditiously on the investigations around him, will conclude their investigations soon so that formal prosecution will begin. That is one. The second thing is that, having noticed that he's still practicing, continuing that offense, fortunately for us, the law provides that we serve him a notice of continuing offense. And this has also been done by the council. Remember that I preface our conversation with the fact that the first tool is public interest. And this opportunity, that's why we're grateful to you and the interest you have in this matter, so that we provide opportunity to educate the public and advise them accordingly that it is not safe to continue to receive care there.
Meanwhile, Joy News' checks at the facility Wednesday, 25th January mid-morning revealed that the hospital is running full service despite legal suit against it. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News.
So Joy News will be keeping an eye on this issue and bring you up to the minute update on the issue. But many will go all lengths to have a wow shape. It may be just to fit a status quo or to fit into that perfect dress. This had led many, especially women, to uncertified facilities for uncertified body sculptures. Hanodami set out to find out how far will you go to have a perfect body shape.
It's a headache for anyone who has on extra weight. That's why they go all lengths to get that perfect body shape, if there's anything like that. They therefore resort to all sorts of solutions, including the quick fix ones, which states that in 9 days you'll be back in perfect shape. How far would you go in keeping or getting a perfect shape?
I don't eat heavy food late at night, and I exercise every Saturday at dawn. I've been going for joggings. Yeah, I think that's all I do.
So should you put on, would you be desperate to lose that weight?
Yes.
Why?
Because for me, I don't want to be fat. So I always make sure that I don't eat food with much fat that will make me look bump.
How about those who go for these medications and quick solutions to reduce their weight? What do you make of that?
I won't advise them to go for those things because I'm very sure they have side effects. So the only thing they can do to reduce their weight is to exercise and then eat food with less fat and maybe more of the vegetables than the fatty foods.
I just train press up every morning. Sometimes I follow TV when they are training. That's what I do in the morning every day.
Are you doing this just to keep in shape or because you don't want to put on weight?
Oh no, I'm just doing it to get fit every day.
Okay. So would you take pills if you are giving the pills to take so that you'll be in shape?
No, I'm not taking any drugs. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, but I don't like to take any pills. Yeah.
Sometimes I take fruits in the morning. I go on walk. I exercise a lot, bicycle riding, especially when your body is like mine. That in the gene or in the family, everybody is huge. You need to work hard on your body. Make sure you work on your body to become a figure that it will be better when you go out or you wear dress, you will fit in. But sometimes when you leave yourself by eating this kind of fufu in the morning, in the late when you go home, you eat bankun, eat anything you like, or you go to functions, serve yourself, you try to eat your plate full with the food, you end up disfigure your body. by eating anything, drinking anything you like, it will destroy your figure, and it's sometimes it will give your health problem, like hypertension. Sometimes you'll be panting. Little staircase when you climb, you'll be panting. When you walk here and here, you will see that you are sweating. So we have to work on ourselves and then look at what we eat.
So yours is exercise. What do you make of those who take pills or they go for these quick solutions to reduce the body weight?
They will pray to you. I wouldn't go there, because I don't know when I come back to my body. I don't know how I will look like again, because the thing is in your blood. The fat is in your blood, so you have to work on it. But if you go for a doctor to cut off your tummy, take off excess fat, work on your body or your breast, and then they shape it, 6 months or 1 year time, you don't know what will happen to you again. So I will not go. I will rather depend on fruits and vegetables and exercise. That will help me.
Mostly I don't like sugar, drinks. I like contour stew and okra stew. Maybe you put some adome inside. I like it. That's why I keep my body clean.
So what do you make of those who go for the pills and those who who cut bodies and all of that? What do you make of that?
It's not fine. You have put some problem on your body. Maybe in future you get problem. It's not good. You don't have to take any medicine on your body. Exercise is good.
Thank you very much.
Exercise. I'll be going to jogging, gym. Yeah.
To keep you in shape.
Your shape, yes.
What do you make of go the extra mile of taking medications or visiting the body sculptors to make sure that they are kept in perfect shape?
Actually, it's not good for you to take medicine. You have to make exercise all the day. Actually, every Saturday you have to go to jogging or gym. Yeah, to take your body look so beautiful.
So there's one chorus: exercise and good eating. Perhaps that's the best for Weight Watch. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
Food for thought, exercise, and good eating. We'll take a break on the pulse. Don't forget there is more analysis on your most authoritative analysis show when we come back from this break.